Hi there, and welcome to this day in history for August 15th. August 15th is the 227th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 228th in leap years, with 138 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is shoulder. Shoulder can be a noun or a verb. As a noun, shoulder means the laterally projecting part of the human body formed of bones and joints and their covering tissue by which the arm is connected to the trunk. There's also a corresponding part of the body in non-human vertebrates, but in those cases the shoulder is usually less protruding. Shoulder can also be a term for the two shoulders and the upper part of the back. That is usually referred to in plural, as in shoulders. This term is sometimes used to express the capacity for bearing a task or blame, as in, the committee placed the blame squarely on Larry's shoulders. Shoulder can be a cut of meat consisting of that part of the animal or the part of a garment at a wearer's shoulder. Shoulder can be the edge of the roadway, outside the part of the road usually traveled, or an area next to or along the edge of a higher or more important part. Shoulder can even be used to describe the rounded or sloping part of, say, a stringed instrument or a bottle where the neck joins the body. Shoulder can also be a verb where it means to push or thrust as if with a shoulder, or to place something like a load or a burden on a shoulder, as in he shouldered his knapsack, or to assume blame, as in shouldering responsibility. The word shoulder comes to us from Middle and Old English, possibly from Old High German. First known use of the word shoulder is before the 1100s. Shoulder. And with that, this is the birthday of singer, songwriter, and composer Jimmy Webb, born August 15th, 1946, out in Elk City, Oklahoma. I've been to Elk City on purpose. He grew up then in Laverne, Oklahoma, which is up at the base of the Oklahoma Panhandle. His dad was a Baptist minister, and Jimmy was in the church choir. Drawn to music at an early age, he began improvising and rearranging some of the church hymns and writing hymns. As he entered adolescence, singers like Elvis Presley and Glenn Campbell were on the radio, and these influences changed the direction of Jimmy's musical efforts. The family moved to California in 1964, where he attended San Bernardino Valley College, studying music. Sadly, his dear mother passed away in 1964, and his dad decided to move back to Oklahoma. Jimmy decided to stay in California, though. He wanted to pursue a career in songwriting. His dad told him, "This songwriting thing's going to break your heart," but seeing that Jimmy was determined to give it a go, he softened and gave Jimmy $40, saying, "It's not much, but it's all I have." What a sweet daddy. That was in 1964, and before the end of the following year, his song "My Christmas Tree" had been recorded by the Supremes on their 1965 Merry Christmas album. Along the way, he met Johnny Rivers, who recorded several of his songs within the next 2 years. Since then, dozens of artists you've probably heard of, and a good many others besides, have sung and had hits with songs Jimmy Webb wrote. By the Time I Get to Phoenix, Up, Up and Away, Didn't We, MacArthur Park, Wichita Lineman, Galveston, Honey Come Back, and oh my goodness, so many more. As with so many in probably every facet of the showbiz industry, he did develop a substance abuse problem, but I'm happy to report that he was able to get clean and sober. And for all the vroom vroom automotive lovers in my audience, Jimmy Webb once owned the Carroll Shelby's 427 Cobra Super Snake. All that, and Jimmy Webb is still alive and still working. Looks like he's written a memoir, available in hardback, paperback, and audiobook. He's got merch, still doing live shows. Jimmy Webb turned 77 in 2023. Before we roll on into today's song, I must confess I got pretty wordy on just this one subject. So if you'd like to see lots more other things that I talked about on August 15th, I'll include a link to a previous episode for August 15th. In honor of Jimmy Webb, of course, we're going to look at one of his songs. The choice here was really difficult because he wrote so many songs, and nearly all of them have been performed by many artists. But I finally landed on Galveston. Galveston was first recorded by the Hawaiian singer Don Ho in 1968. Glenn Campbell heard it when Don Ho performed it on the Glenn Campbell Good Time Hour variety show, and then Glenn Campbell released it in 1969. I love that the very first record that Jimmy Webb bought when he was a boy was a Glenn Campbell record, and now Glenn Campbell's singing one of Jimmy Webb's songs, the first of many as it will come to be. Glenn Campbell's version had an instrumental backup by the loose collective of studio musicians commonly referred to as the Wrecking Crew. We've mentioned the Wrecking Crew before. In this case, there were 23 musicians on hand, one of whom was Leon Russell, who later came into his own. But this is about the song Galveston, released in 1969. Galveston went on to #1 on the country music charts, #1 on the easy listening charts, and #4 on the Billboard Hot 100. Galveston, written by Jimmy Webb, performed by Glenn Campbell. Link in the description. And I'll also include a link to a version sung by Jimmy Webb, and if I can find it, by Don Ho. And I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with a link in your email, messaging, or social media. If you enjoy this series, you can check out the playlist that contains these videos. I'll put a link to that in the description. That description lives on YouTube, so for other platforms, I'll include a link to my blog page that is called No Really. And you can also find me on Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey. All those links in that description. Alrighty, that's all I can think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Oh, get your microphone. Okay. Phone over there. Hello. Okay. With 202 days remaining to the end of the world. End of the year. Please, not the end of the world. 202 days remaining to the end of the year. Let's read that one again. Yep, it is. That's what it's called. All right. Third time better be a charm. There's no "the" there. Start over. Attracting. Just read the whole thing over. I don't ad-lib very well. You know what? Maybe we can leave that one off. Don't alienate people who can be helpful to you. Flinging happiness all over the place. I don't know. Can I get this edited? Let's find out. Alrighty. Back to work. I think we got it this time.